Welcome to the Are Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, joined with the new Monday crew, Daniel, Dalton, Hank, special guest Eric. Eric, I think it's been about 6 months since I've seen you on a podcast, and you're in the middle of coaching high school football right now, right?
Yeah, so we just finished up our first week of heat acclimation, and we are starting our second week now. Have our only scrimmage this Saturday, and then into our regular season starting next Friday.
Nice. And can I ask what state you coach high school football in?
Yeah, I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay. And Dalton, Daniel, it's good to see you guys. You guys said that you were in Chicago.
Yeah, we just in Chicago the other day, just to get a breather before the season starts, before the pads get popping, and ready to lock in here till about second week of February. So yeah, ready to go.
Cool. And Hank, how are things going for you?
Things are going great. Excited to talk about offensive line today, and just ready for the podcast.
Cool. So our theme for this podcast is the offensive line class. Everybody on the podcast has watched some of the offensive linemen in the class. There's no guarantee that every single person on the panel has watched the same offensive linemen. But Eric, I gave you the names of like a couple of guards. I think it was yesterday, but it may have been this morning. Did you have a chance to watch? Was it Omar Agbedian from Baylor?
Yeah, I did. So that was a guy, right guard. He transferred from Montana State, a true senior, redshirt year. For me, didn't have him, ranked that highly in terms of the guards that I had looked at. I felt like his build was, kind of top heavy. Like his lower half didn't look as stout as I would like for an inside zone or for a guard. Baylor's offense made it tough to really evaluate him for me. As we've talked about before, Jim, like I do a lot of Dolphin stuff, as you can see in the background. So, I'm really looking for those outside zone type linemen when I'm looking at these college prospects. And Baylor's offense really made that difficult to translate that. It was a lot of inside zone and passing. At times felt like he was a little overextended. But I did feel like in the man and gap schemes that he really did a good job of washing stuff down. Was not asked to pull very often. You asked me to take a look at the other guard also from Baylor, and seemed like they asked him to pull a little more often than they did with Omar. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the last name there. Glad you did that. So the movement skills were a bit of a question for me, but did a good job with combo blocks and when to detach and move to the linebacker. So, for a team that runs a lot of inside zone, that's going to be a player that maybe is not at the top of the draft, but definitely a player to consider in a scheme that runs more inside zone or duo type concepts.
So has anybody here had a chance to see the Baylor guards yet?
I haven't as of yet. I got 40 on my list here, and no, not anyone for Baylor. So I got some more homework to do. So that's the best thing about it. We'll have some homework to do and get to kind of hopefully get some bright spots on our list as well. That like this guy from Montana State. You said true senior too. That's rare these days.
Right.
It's crazy.
So Daniel, is there another guard that you watched that you liked?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of guys that are playing tackle right now that are going to be moved into guard. That's nothing new these days. For guards here, just looking at my list, I know there's a lot of guys that are going to – Jennings Dunker is a guy that some guys – I think it's a coin flip on how you feel about him. Some people. I like our Reed Adams, guard from Texas A&M. Let's see here. I do like Alex Harkey from Oregon. He's kind of a project guy. Trey Zune's a guy I like a lot as well from Texas A&M. He's an older guy. I think he's, redshirt senior, but nothing too crazy on high at a top 250 for him. But yeah, I mean, I got a number of guys here. Luca Petitbon from Florida State as well, another inside offensive line that has some upside.
Hank, any of those names jump out to you?
I mean, I'm on the opposite side for Jennings Dunker. I'm one of those guys that is just out on him. I turned on the Ohio State film, and that just really turned me the wrong way with him. But I do see the vision. He is a good run blocker, and there is a role for him in the NFL. But that Ohio State film was rough. And then going into guards that I really like, Wes King from Wyoming, really impressed me. Just really strong, good base, just a lot of footwork concerns, and he can rely on his just strength too much because he does just have raw power. But I think that there's a real role in the NFL for Wes King, and playing at Wyoming, I want him to get a bit more recognition.
And Dalton, any other guards names you want to start dropping?
Yeah, I'm surprised somebody mentioned my favorite guard so far, Caden Green from Missouri.
Yeah, he's my number. He's my number one. Yeah, definitely by far.
He's really good. Dominant film pretty much. No sacks allowed last year. Jaden Roberts from Alabama. They always have guys. Their whole line's going to get drafted probably this year for the next 2 years. And of course, Florida boy Roger Kearney. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. I like him too. I got a second round grade on him. So there's a lot of good guards this year, and the center class is really good too, I think, and a lot of them can move over to guard.
Yeah, so Eric, out of all those other names that got dropped, were any of those guys in the group that you were able to get some eyes on?
Yeah, so I mean, Zune was one that I had looked at this past year because I thought that he was going to be coming out. Didn't. He was the kind of guy that I feel like is a solid technician, but doesn't appear to have a lot of length. So I have him as a player projected to move to the inside. Jennings Dunker was one that opposite ends of the spectrum. I think that one's going to depend very much on who's watching him. Felt that he was below average as a pass blocker, and didn't feel like he created a lot of movement at the point of attack. But again, in the outside zone scheme, stuff that I'm looking for, he's got that plus athleticism and does a good job of creating movement on the go. And the last sentence that I have on him in my notes here says, he's the type of player who may get drafted higher than consensus just because he's the right type of scheme fit. Jaden Roberts, don't have a lot of notes on him, but he's got that Tyron Smith type build. Looks a lot like him, has a ton of strength at point of attack, and does a good job moving to the second level as well. And then Caden Green, I'm interested to hear more on what the guys have to say about him because I have him kind of far down my list. I have a note here saying that he has a great anchor in pass protection and that he has good agility in the run game, but didn't feel like that agility carried over to the pass game. Didn't feel like he was explosive on contact. And have a note that I could see him being the type of player to excite, based on size and athletic testing. But I just didn't seem to see it on film. So I'm curious what everyone else liked about him.
Yeah, I like Caden Green. Like you said, great anchor. I think he's really good with his hand placement. His hands are never outside. That's one thing I really do like about him. But I have Pani Lualu from Oregon, another inside guy that's one of the best centers. Like you said, center class is crazy this year. A lot of guys that are going to be tackles moving over to guard. Inside, there's a lot of guys that you just are you just need film on, man. I know we've had one good year. A lot of coaches want to see 2 good years of film. I know that's something that's Jim kind of reiterated. But a lot of guys, like you said, Jaden Roberts is a good one. He has a lot of good foot speed for his size. Possible day 3 guy at the moment. But like you said, if you put another 12 games of film on a couple of these guys, it'll be good. Another guy, Jake Slaughter, center from Florida. Is a guy that's pretty good. He doesn't really dominate, doesn't really just absolutely demolish a guy or pancake a guy. Kind of wins his battles at the second half of the block, but he doesn't get demolished as well on the other side of that. So I like him as well.
Yeah, I mean, Caden Green for me, I didn't get a deep dive on him, but from what I barely saw while watching guys go against him, was I think that there's at times where he can just get a little too aggressive. And I think that there's a lot where his footwork can improve. There's a lot of room for improvement with his footwork, but there is a vision with Caden Green. But the one guy that was brought up that I really do like is Jaden Roberts. He's my guard 1 right now. I do have a very hesitant round 1 grade on him. But I mean, I posted a clip like 2 hours ago of him just throwing Omar Lot to the ground against Tennessee. He has real strength. He has a great anchor, in my opinion. It's just, I think that for being a redshirt senior, I'm pretty sure he is. There's a lot of things that you want to see refined that just aren't. So I think he just needs to clean up a lot of those because he's an older player. He should be more technical, but he just isn't. He's still relying on his strength way too often.
Sorry, I just want to jump in here. Want to get your thoughts here, Hank, on Charles Jagasaw. What are your thoughts on him? I know he's been kind of a hot name here lately.
That was tackle from Notre Dame, correct?
Yeah.
He's projected right guard right now this upcoming season. No, he started at tackle in the Natty, but just wanted to get y'all's thoughts on him. Supposedly, I looked at his film; it's pretty solid. Just a limited film we do have.
Yeah, Jagusa is actually my tackle 7 right now, so I really like Jagusa. 6'7", 320 is what I have. Redshirt sophomore. I did watch the Natty game against Ohio State because it's not often you get a guy to plug in at left tackle in the biggest game of the season. I think that he latches on with glue on his hands, really strong anchor. I wrote down that this is the kind of size that Caden Proctor should be playing at, the guy from Alabama. Instead of 350, he's at 320. I think that stepping in at left tackle in the Natty is one of the most impressive things he did, and he held his own. He did give up a sack, but other than that, he was technically fine. He has the versatility to play guard and tackle, really strong hands, and he just looked too good for how inexperienced he is. And I think with a really good year, he could easily be an early day 2 kind of guy for me.
So I have a question on Caden Green because he seems polarizing. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody with him in the middle. They either really like him or they're like down on him. What is it about the player that is making him that polarizing?
I think it's kind of the same thing that another man's trash is another man's treasures. The same things that some people hate about him, they like. So he's too aggressive. Some people, that's what they love about him, that he's so aggressive. And I think there's sometimes he oversells, but I think he's just well-rounded for his size. But like you said, we just want to see more film on him. I'm kind of in the middle right now. He's my top 3 guards at the moment, but there's going to be so many of these guys playing center right now that's going to be playing guard and tackles that are going to be playing guard. So where does he end up in the long run as rookie ratings, but coming out pretty high so far?
I think what it is the ceiling. His ceiling is so high. I think if he reaches his potential, he can be a Pro Bowler. He can really anchor a run game in the NFL, and then he can be adequate in pass protection. So I think that's what it is. It's just the ceiling's higher than the other guards.
Eric, does that kind of jive with maybe some of what you thought when you watched him?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he very, very physically talented. I think he's gonna show up. He's gonna test well. He's going to measure well. So the talent is there. It's just not there for me on the field yet. But if he were to put some more tape out there and make that jump with another year of seasoning, it's not gonna shock me because the physical talent is there for him.
Yeah, he'll be the focus on the O-line, especially with no Mimbu this year.
So how many people here have watched Austin Barber from Florida?
Mm-hmm.
I have.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's interesting because I've had a couple conversations with him. Do you guys see a round 1 tackle? Yeah. So Eric, you're nodding your head yes, and that was not a small nod. So you're in agreement that that's a highly coveted tackle?
Yeah, I mean, I have him as my tackle 1 right now. I think that he is very well-rounded. I mean, there's going to be guys that do stuff better in the run game than him, and there's going to be guys that are, a better stonewall in pass protection. But in terms of a guy that does it all, I think that he may be the best all-around tackle heading into 2025. Really, really good in both the run and the pass game, but maybe not the best at either of those individually. Thought that he, moves well, plays with good strength. And, last note I have on him is that I feel he is close to the total package.
Nice. So
Yeah,
obviously, Dalton, I know that you like Austin Barber because he plays for Florida, and I know that you've covered him before, but how high do you have Austin Barber, Dalton?
Well, of course, I'm biased too. I got him first round too, of course, because he went to Florida. But that ain't the only reason, man. Like he's so consistent. I watched every snap, and he just never sticks out. And that's what you want an O lineman, though. You don't want an O lineman to stick out, not at all. He just goes about his business. Like you said, he's not amazing in the pass or the run. He's just above average in both, and very consistent. He rarely gets beat, man, and he's just an anchor for O line. I think he's a great team leader too. He was the leader of the O line.
Yeah, I will say I'm excited to watch him. I didn't get a deep dive in info. From what I've heard about Austin Barber, he just sounds like a good, solid NFL level tackle that's just going to do the job, do it correctly. So he was next on my list. I just didn't get to him, but I'm excited to turn his film on.
Okay. Any other, let's say, first round level tackles that people have had their eyes on?
I mean, there's a
yeah.
lot.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
lot of tackles.
Caleb Tiernan, I have
4 of them this
from
year.
Northwestern, is a guy that's just been polarizing for a lot of guys. And then I have Caden Proctor, and then I do have Blake Miller from. I like Blake Miller. I mean, he might be OT2 right now. I know he does. When he gets beat, it looks bad, I understand. But when he wins, man, he kind of looks like really robotic in a good way, really parallel. Gives me kind of Joe Alt vibes a little bit here and there. But he just, if he takes that next step up, some of these guys, if they take that next step up, it's going to make them so much more money, and you get them drafted so much higher. But those are the top 3. Do like the guy from Notre Dame as well, Emil Wagner.
You left out Francis Mauigoa.
Yeah, Miami. Yeah,
You don't
he's
like
good.
him, really?
Well, I think they're going to move him to guard. That's my opinion, just because his hips aren't that great. With all these freaks at edge rusher, I think he's going to be maybe better at guard, in my opinion.
Okay.
I mean,
so where is this panel on Blake Miller?
I mean, I'll start it off. I watched the Texas game and then I just shut it off. I mean, he got killed against Texas. I mean, eventually when I get some 2025 tape, I'll get back into it. But I mean, that Texas game was bad. I always try to watch a game going up against the best of the best, and I mean, it doesn't get much better than Texas. And he really got a turnaround versus Texas. But there is a vision, and I'm hoping he can turn around. I want every player to be good. I want the NFL to be full of these amazing talents. But I will also say, I know you brought up Caden Proctor in the first round. I like Caden Proctor. I just don't like the end of the season that Caden Proctor had last year. And it just looked like his anchor just left him towards the end of the season. And for a guy who's 6'7", like 350, 360, you can't have a bad anchor. And he'll probably regain his form. But for now, I got a round 2 grade on him just based on the end of the season. Because if he can't regain that beginning of season form, I just think it's going to be a rough stretch for Caden Proctor coming up here in 2025.
Yeah, I think his highs are highs, his lows are lows. When he's pulling, when he messes up, it looks real sloppy. But when he does it, it's like, God, how can a big guy move like that? Want to get a couple of your guys' thoughts on Caleb Lomu from Utah as well. What you all think on him? I got him picks around 25 to 35. But wanted you to get your thoughts?
I like Lomu. I don't think he'll come out. He's a redshirt sophomore, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he comes out. He's second or third round, but I think he'll come back and develop more, and then probably go first round because he had a great year last year.
Yeah, Lomu for me, and I don't use the word elite a lot, but I think this kid is already elite in pass protection. I think that he's just a rock at left tackle for his age. I mean, just technically refined for being only a redshirt sophomore. I think for right now he's my offensive tackle 3, but I mean. That's because I really don't think he comes out like Dalton said, because I mean, he's just so young. There's no pressure on him to come out. But I do think that at being only 304 pounds, it is a little underweight. I do think his arms are a bit on the shorter side. So there will be some questions on if he's actually a tackle at the next level. But for now, Caleb Lomu is one of the best prospects in college football, and I'm expecting big things from him this year for Utah.
Yeah, I have him at number 4 also. And the first note I have on him is might be the smoothest pass protector in the entire draft. Do you think he's athletic enough to be a puller? Not a real people mover in the pass or in the run game, but does enough. But this is the type of player that, we talked about Austin Barber earlier being that good all around player. Like if you're looking for the pass protector, Lomu's your guy. The one name that hasn't come up yet that I have as my offensive tackle number 2 right now is Isaiah World going to Oregon. I think that he might be the most gifted tackle in the entire draft. He moves extremely well for his size, very good pass protector, shows skills in the run game. Nevada's offense was one of those that didn't make that easy to evaluate. So looking forward to seeing him in more of a balanced attack with Oregon, but just based on the physical skills that I see with Isaiah World, I think he's going to, be right up there with the top tackles in this class when we get around to draft season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, Isaiah World for me was the last tackle to get a first round grade, and two of the tackles I have a first round grade on are redshirt sophomores, so they more than likely won't come out. So I think come draft season, he's looking right now at offensive tackle 3, just a mammoth of a human being. It just needs to show up against the Big Ten and cut back on the penalties. Really, 32 penalties in 3 seasons can't happen. And he does have some small hands actually for being as big as he is. I think they're in the 5th percentile. So I mean that doesn't help at all. It won't help his measurements. Won't help media when it comes to be combine time. But I mean, he's just a monster of a human, and he was just so dominant at Nevada. And I'm excited to see him at Oregon, and I'm excited to see what he brings to the Big Ten.
Yeah,
I agree.
the only thing about World I got is just I need to see him improve in the run game a little bit. It seemed like anytime he needed to move somebody in the run game, he couldn't really do it, and that was at Nevada. So that's a question I got about him at Oregon. I mean, 6'8", 312. It's actually not that much weight for that 6'8" guy, at tackle. So maybe you can put on a little bit more.
On James Foster website, which is what I use for official measurements, he actually came in at 6'5", 321. So he's not even 6'8". He's about 3 inches shorter. So yeah, he is smaller than projected, which actually shocked me. So Nevada really inflated his numbers, but it's still not bad size for a tackle, but it's not 6'8", 315 that we were thinking.
Yeah, depends on just what you want. We got a couple of these guys that are 6'6" that are projected to go play inside. Then we got like these guys like World, who's an absolute freak, but still raw. And we just big prove it here. We just want to see him go against the best of the best, like everyone's saying here at Oregon. Only really things I got that he needs to improve on, needs to anchor a little bit better over sets at times. But there's a couple of these guys in the draft that you just need to calm a little down. And that's a good problem to have. You'd rather turn a guy down than have to turn a guy up and, rise to the occasion. So, like I said, deep class, man. And I got him as my last first round offensive tackle, but I think he's going to benefit from a couple of these guys not being in the draft.
I mean, there's another guy. If you want to talk about freaks, I don't know who watched him, but Demetrius Crownover from Texas A&M. I don't know if anyone's talked about him. 6'6", 335, with I think 35.5-inch arms. I mean, just a freak for the position. And I really liked him. Plays right tackle at Texas A&M. He's violent. He lays people out when pulling. He gets to the second level quickly. And he was recruited as a tight end and an edge rusher. So, I mean, he's fairly new to the tackle position. He's been tested in the SEC. And I really like what Crownover can bring to an NFL team one day. But if we're just talking freaks, he's got to be in there.
So I have a question. So Emil Wagner of Notre Dame, his name got dropped a little while ago. Eric, was that a player that you ended up getting to? No.
No, I don't have him on my list as of right now.
Hank, have you gotten to Wagner yet?
Yeah, I got to Wagner. I watched him, but I think that 291 is just a little light for me at tackle. I think that if he could play at 310, that'd be even better, which isn't ideal, but it's a lot better than sub 300 pounds. He only has 2 penalties in his college career, which immediately stood out to me. He's good at right tackle. He's consistent. I think that he does have actually a very good anchor for his size, which I think would only get better if he plays closer to 310. But there's some moments on tape, though, where you see the 291 play. You see him get pushed back, and he just needs to add on some weight. I also think he leaves his chest more open than you'd like. Right now, I have a round 4 grade on him, but I think that it's also just the weight is concerning me right now. I got a lot of problems with the weight.
So, Daniel, I saw you nodding your head like, yeah, you've watched Wagner. So where do you have Wagner?
Yeah, I like him. I have here that he could be an immaculate guard. It just really depends on what coach you have and what they want to run and what they see. I think that's the biggest position that varies across the league and what they have in their makeup of their guard. You might see a 6'8" tackle. You might see a 6'1" center or guard on a team. You just don't know. And I know some guys like the big old tackles. I'm kind of indifferent on them a couple times, but with the trend here, I got him at 6'6", 293. Like you said, not really crazy with the weight. Needs to put on some weight. But I like his motor. Does leave his chest exposed, which, the Jalen Carters of the league are going to take advantage of that. But I do like his big thing I got here is stance. His stance gives away what they're running a lot. Unfortunately, that's a big one there. You can pretty much tell what they're doing. But that's things that coaches can tweak. Good coaches will love to have those problems to tweak up. But like you said, big prove it year. If he moves to guard, I can see him moving up in the second round, maybe around there, maybe. But if you want to stick with him at tackle, I think he's more of a project with that.
Yeah, I do like the guard shout for him, just based on the fact that he could maybe even like stay closer to 300 then with help on either side. But I mean, just I actually do kind of like him as a guard, but as of now, he's going to play tackle for Notre Dame. No one's taking him from that spot, but maybe the NFL sees him differently.
I mean, how many NFL linemen are even under 300 pounds anymore?
There's Willie Lampkin,
Yeah, Senior Bowl.
but that's all
Allen
that's
Iverson.
coming to mind
That's it, right? Like,
The Allen Iverson step over at the Senior Bowl. Never forget that.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's 290, but other than that, it's not a lot. So if he can just hit the number 3 to be the first digit of his weight, I'd have a lot less concerns. But at 290, it's just not flying for me right now. But another guy who is supposedly undersized but doesn't play like it is Spencer Fano from Utah, 6'6", 302. But this kid doesn't play like he's 302. He plays like he's 320. I mean, he's a rock. My favorite note that I had on him was he just forms a bubble around the quarterback and doesn't let anyone in. I mean, he is one of the best tackles I've ever watched. Him and Tiernan are both blue chip players for me this year. I really like them both. I think Fano's a special talent. And the only thing that I think is that my gut instinct says that he's going to have a bit of an adjustment period just because he got exposed sometimes with pure power. So I think that if he decides to stay nimble at 302, which isn't nimble, but for the tackle position, it's nimble. The pure power, the bull rushers could get him. Like if he goes against a Khalil Mack, I guess the first guy that comes to mind, he's gonna get bullied for a few reps. But I think it's just some adjustment and there's just some time. But Fano is a special player.
I was waiting until this guy caught up because, man, I wish I was as sold as everyone else. I mean, it's just so important. Like I think he does need the weight. I think like he does get exposed at time. I got to see this guy against elite talent. I think if he goes to the Senior Bowl, wherever he does, that's going to be so big for him, and it's going to be the big prove it week we see, like maybe with Gray Zabel last year. I think sometimes when he pulls, I've seen this guy cross his feet a couple of times when when he's pulling. Some people might like that, say this guy can move like a tight end, or you can maybe just look at it like that's not an offensive lineman. I just want to see him against best talent. I wish I was sold on him as much, just because we're talking about the position that kept Mahomes from a third ring in a row. This is the biggest position in the field, and I think the weight matters. He's gonna, like you said, brute force. He's gonna have to go against some just straight nasty dogs, and I'm gonna have to see it. Until then, I have them around mid first round.
Yeah. I mean, his arms are short too. They're sub 33 inches. So there's a chance. There's a chance he's a guard. Yeah, there's a chance.
I would just put him at guard, man, and then just have him if you're a team like Coach said, he likes the guys that are going east and west in that zone blocking. You put Fano at the guard and do that kind of scheme with that outside, get to the second and third level with screens, could be a great guard.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, he could be. I just don't know if you want to waste his upside at tackle.
Yeah, that's the other question.
Right?
I mean, there's another guy with upside at tackle or guard, and that's Tiernan. For me, he's the best tackle in the class. Yeah. Wowed with him. I mean, again, you got sub 33-inch arms, but I mean, this guy's a rock, and he's the only lineman that looked good enough against Ohio State and their NFL level talent. So I mean, Tiernan shocked me. I know Weston put him onto me, and I was super impressed with Tiernan, but I don't know if you guys think he's a guard or a tackle, because I mean, he is 6'7", 320 pounds, but the arm length is a concern. So I don't know if you see him as guard, see him as a tackle. What do you guys think?
I think the way he's played so good against the pass right now, it's like he's been doing it forever. It looks like he's still learning to running schemes and stuff. He gets confused all the time. So I think tackle's a good spot for him to stay, I think.
I do have him as a tackle. Like you said, 32-inch arms. That is a little concerning. I think he's got to improve his pad level. A bunch of these guys do. I mean, there's a handful of these guys that their pad level has to improve. But that's one of the few things I do have him. Good, great awareness. Good job handling stunts and twists, which is great. Good recovery when he does get beat at the half step. I love his pass blocker and hands. But what do you think about him, Coach?
Yeah, I don't have Tiernan on my list.
Okay.
Kind of circling back for a minute back to Fano, like listen to you guys talk about him. One of the problems, I guess, when we do these type of shows is that, we've probably all watched different games and maybe haven't watched as much as we'd like to on some of those. And, listening to you guys talk about him, like maybe this is a guy that I need to go back and watch again because I do like Fano, but you guys are talking about him in pass protection being really good. And that's where I felt that he kind of struggled. I felt it was a little sloppy, and I didn't make note of which game I watched, unfortunately, for him. Felt like he was a bit too much of a waist bender, but I did feel like his, you guys talked about the fit in an outside zone type scheme, and that makes a lot of sense there, and I could see where the move to guard would really benefit him because I have, noticed that his feet are always active, and I don't talk about hand or grip strength a ton, but this is a player that I have a note in there saying that he does a really good job of using his hands to control a defender once he's latched on, and that he really creates movement in the run game. And a player that I have just above Fano for me, and I'm curious on the thoughts you guys have, is Ernest Green out of Georgia, just being a massive man. But curious what you guys think about him.
Yeah. Green is not a guy I got a deep dive on, but from what I've seen, I'm not that high on him. In fact, I'm a lot on the opposite side. He's currently my tackle 15. But when I do a deep dive, I watch their highest rated game on PFF, their lowest rated game on PFF, and then a game that stands out. So each deep dive takes about an hour of my time. So when I get to the deep dive, I'll know a lot more. But from what I see from Green, he has size, but I just need to see him use that size more effectively with better technique right now. But there's a lot to like about Green, just off straight traits.
So, Eric, do you have Green graded as a tackle or a guard?
Yeah. No, I mean, so I mean, notes I have on him, right? Massive, powerful, but not the fleetest of foot. I feel like he does enough to get to his spot, and that he uses his strength to position block versus using his feet to continue to create movement. And then the next note that I have on him here, would not be surprised if there was discussion of him moving inside. But I think he's got enough football intelligence that he could get by as a tackle in the NFL. I think he anchors well in pass protection, and I think that he knows how to lean on the speed rushers around the edge to kind of compensate a little bit. But it is a player that I have a note that I could see him being considered inside.
So Daniel or Dalton, where are you in Ernest Green?
Haven't got around to him yet as of now, but I have just read a couple things on him. But I like to read a couple things, but see for myself. I just haven't watched him as of yet. But I do have a couple of guys I do want to get some thoughts on here. If Dalton doesn't have anything on him.
No, not too much. I only watched a game or two of his, but what I did notice his anchor strength and his lateral agility are both really good. I think they can translate easily to the next level. But another thing, his pad level, like Daniel said, needs to get better, like a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
So we were on Caleb Tiernan's Northwestern, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And then, so Eric, one of the other guys that I had dropped it into our private chat was Josh Thompson, who played at Northwestern and then is now at LSU. Did you have a chance to watch him at all?
No, I do not have my notes on him.
Has anybody else watched Josh Thompson?
Nope.
Okay. So we covered him on the LSU podcast. And like Sam Teets has an early day 3 on him. So the summation is he's definitely on the must-watch list. You're going to see he has some tackle reps at Northwestern. So there were some games he started at tackle. At LSU, he is probably playing guard because LSU has 2 tackles that they like. But you're pretty much going to get a player who likely can play 3 or 4 of the 5 offensive line positions, kind of thing.
That's intriguing.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying that's intriguing to me. I mean, I'll throw on the tape after this, but it's just, it's intriguing.
Yeah. So, and then my understanding is also he missed the LSU spring game because he was still finishing classes at Northwestern, right? Because if you go to Northwestern, you're probably not going there to play sports.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's like an afterthought. So I believe he's a graduate transfer to LSU. So
Speaking of LSU, wanted to get some people's thoughts. A guy that I think here, imagine just looking through my interior guys, kind of plays a lot like Jake Slaughter there at Florida. Want to get your thoughts, guys, on Connor Liu from Auburn. I haven't brought him up. 6'3", 300. An inside guy there at center. Has to have him against a good motor. Needs to improve his pass sets against some nose guards. So it could be a late first rounder if we get some more good tape on him. But I do that couple of good things here with absorbing good blitzes, and he's good at keeping his hips and shoulders parallel. But want to get your guys' thoughts on him.
Yeah, I think I mean I like Lou. He's my interior man number 2. So I have a round 2 grade on him. I think he's the best center in this class. But I mean, what stuck out immediately for me was his football IQ. He knew his assignments. He's always commanding at the line of scrimmage, pointing out defenders. So he has a very good football IQ, which is what you want from your center. I think he's a better pass blocker than he's a run blocker. I think that he can look off balance, but he isn't really off balance. So people might be like questioning his balance, but I don't really think he's ever off balance. I think that he has initial strength when he makes first contact. The only thing that really stuck out to me was he can just get pushed a bit far back before he anchors. And it shows when you're at 300, which isn't terrible. It's not ideal, but he does play like he's lighter than 300 pounds. So I wonder if he's going to be, closer to 292 come April or something like that. But I do like Connor Liu, and he's the best center in this class right now. I'm excited for his season this year.
Yeah, you usually don't see guys do that in the SEC, man. He started since he was a freshman, and then he's improved so much every year. I really like him. I think he's the center 3 for me behind Jake Slaughter and that guy from Oregon. Don't know how to say his name.
Yeah. Luwalu.
Yeah.
I like him a lot. Yeah, I got him maybe as my center 1 as well. Coach, I mean, what do you think of Dalton's out? You had him on, because I have a couple guys here as well.
No, I mean, so the centers that you guys have named, I haven't had them. The top center that I have on my board is Logan Jones, and curious, where you guys have him, because the other centers, I haven't watched them yet. I have Jaden Roberts as my number 1 interior offensive lineman, and then Logan Jones is next on my list as my top center of the guys that I've looked at.
Yeah, I love that you brought him up. That's a guy I was about to bring up. He's the guy who I have. He's one of the only few that truly move like a center. You can't tell his dominant foot. He goes both ways. He's ambidextrous in that sense. Great mobility, very alert. He has to put better tape on, because there's some times where he stalemates a little bit. But I do love Logan Jones. Like, he's pretty much the big, I kind of exclamation point on what's make this center class so deep, because there's so many. But sorry, I didn't mean to cut off Dalton. The last one. Do you got any more on these couple guys, Dalton?
Oh, you're good. Logan Jones. That's what I was gonna say is you could see he played defensive end his first 2 years at Iowa, I think. You can see that translate, the athleticism, man, and the smart, the IQ. He knows what the defense is going to do seemingly every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anybody here watched Jordan White from Vanderbilt?
Nope.
No.
I have him on my list. He's the one of the 4 that I didn't get to. The only notes that I have is just approve it tape year, big year for him. But that's all I have him on right now. But
yeah,
pretty much the rest of my list is a couple tackles and just crazy sleepers that kind of first years at guard or first year at their position.
So, Eric, there was a name that you wanted to drop. So before I was about to ask about 2 players, but before I do that, did you have a chance to ask about the player that you wanted to ask about? You mentioned something maybe 5 or 10 minutes ago, and I don't know that. I
don't think I'm not sure of anybody that I've mentioned that we haven't talked about yet. I do have one out here that I don't think is going to come out, but I'm curious where you guys have him ranked with, some of the other guys we've talked about. And that's going to be Trevor Gooseby out of Texas, young guy, redshirt sophomore, has only really played spot duty behind Kelvin Banks so far. But curious the thoughts that you guys have on him, because I'm pretty high on him and what I expect him to put on tape this year.
Yeah, so when I did the Texas podcast, Gooseby was one of my favorite players. And I mean, I said I had 2 redshirt sophomores with round 1 grades because I have 5 round 1 grades. This is one of the guys. Really impressed with what I saw from Trevor Gooseby. And I think starting now for Texas, it's going to be easy for him to get into draft conversations. Probably not this year, but 2027. I think he's going to be a rock for Arch Manning. The only thing that kind of stood out to me was I saw him on the ground a lot. I mean, whether or not he was in the play or not, he just kept falling over and over again. I just would like him to stay on his feet. I mean, and it's not even like he's losing those blocks. He's not getting rushed over. He's just falling over. So just stay on your feet a bit more. But I think that the technique that he shows for how young he is and the pass blocking he shows for how young he is, this is a guy who's going to play on Sundays. It's just a question of when he decides to declare.
Anybody else want to comment on Gooseby?
Piggyback, man. He killed it. Both of you.
Okay, so there was a team that went to the Final Four last year, and we haven't mentioned either of their offensive tackles, and that's Penn State. How many people here have watched one or both of the Penn State tackles?
Let me see who I have here for Penn State.
So it should be
Oh, I
Drew
got-
Shelton
Nolan Rucci.
Anthony Donka or Donko.
and then Donka. Donka
Yeah,
was the other
Donka.
one I was thinking of.
Yeah, I got him as having a lot of upside. Like I said, he could be moved at guard and be dominant if he translates well. You know, it's 6'5", 334 I have on him. But kind of gives me the, the same kind of upside that we were kind of thinking about of Emil Wagner, kind of around there. But I do like him. Yeah, I haven't watched too much tape of him, but what I have watched, I have liked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think
Drew
I
Shelton.
Hank, do you have Drew Shelton on your board?
no, but I think I have Nolan Rucci. I just need to find his slide.
That's
I
you have-
do.
three. Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
There's at least 4 Penn State offensive linemen that we could be talking about. So one is Drew
Yeah.
Shelton. One is Daniel. What was the name of the second guy? that you
Donko,
mentioned?
Donko, Donkoh. Yeah.
There's a guard, Ione, Ioane,
Mhm.
Viga Ione.
I mean, I've heard of him. I've definitely heard of him.
Oh,
'cause
yeah,
that name sticks out.
Yeah, I've heard of him too. Penn State, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Shelton was the only last one of the Penn State, so I only had Donko and Shelton on my list. I had Drew Shelton, said he's going to most likely be a guard in the league, another one of those guys. If he improves, could work his way into day 3, just has another good year of film. I got him at 6'5", 308 right now, just from my sources.
I mean, I could touch on Rucci. Didn't do a deep dive, but the one thing that really stuck out to me was his feet just look like he's walking with cinder blocks on when I'm watching Nolan Rucci, which immediately turned me off. Currently, I have a day 3 grade on him. But a guy that I don't know if you guys watched was new Auburn guy, Xavier Chaplin, coming in from Virginia Tech. And I'm pretty sure his new official weight it was something crazy. It was in the group chat. I want to say it was nearing 350. So he's put on a lot of weight. And I know a lot of the draft professors were talking about how that wasn't one of their concerns, was that Xavier Chaplin was too little. So I'm curious on if anyone here has watched Chaplin. I know when I personally watched him that he's really good at using defenders' momentum against them. But when he does that, he collapses his own pocket. So I think that's going to play both ways in the NFL, to where that could expose him, but it also is he's very refined at that technique, and he's super powerful behind his hands. But I feel like there's a lot of times where I watched him where he was just collapsing his own pocket, trying to get a pancake on a guy.
Yeah, I have Chaplin on my list, and the first note that I have on him is that he is extremely fast out of his stance. Like he just explodes off the ball, he generates good movement in the run game with some good leg drive. Have a note here that he looks naturally strong and athletic, but that the techniques need a lot of refinement to reach his ceiling. The change of direction is lacking due to the poor feet and the base. And I had him right now. I have him one spot below Jennings Dunker on my board. But, have a note here, could certainly see a scenario where he jumps up draft boards with improvement. He's just not there yet for me, but definitely high upside type guy as we head into 2025.
Mm-hmm. Anything from either of you two on Xavier Chaplin?
Yeah, I like him. Like you said, I think the pocket awareness, like trying to get that pancake, that's the kind of coincides with the flaw I have for him. He kind of dips his head too much, puts it down, just trying to ram through his guy, make a highlight. A lot to improve on, but is really raw. Pass protection is his strength. Like you said, gets out of his stance really quick, and he's got that solid first punch and power when he has to use it, but he's still quick when he doesn't have to, when he has to just get second level. So a lot of these guys that are transferring up into the SEC, it's a big prove it year. for him. And I think we'll have all of us will have plenty of notes on him. I like him a lot. A lot of sleeper guys in this class.
You got anything on him, Dalton?
Yeah, pretty much nailed it, man. I guess we all watch the same games, or he's really consistent, one or the other.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think he's a round 3 guy. I know a lot of draft professors have him towards the end of day 3 because they were just unimpressed. And I think that the new weight is causing a lot of people to be a little bit more hesitant. I just think that, he plays too tall sometimes, but he is 6'7". And I do think that he invites a lot of pressure, but that's just part of his technique. I think that it's going to get it's going to stand out in the SEC. And I think that can be a good or a bad thing. But Xavier Chaplin is a guy that I definitely have my eye on. And if we want to transition to another guy from another playoff team last year, talking about Penn State, Cage Casey from Boise State is probably the biggest name coming out of the Mountain West this year. And I know that a lot of people like him. I knew preseason there was a guy I was talking to who had him offensive tackle 1, which I thought was a little crazy then. I still think it's crazy now. But I wanted to see where you guys are at on Cage Casey if you got to him.
I got him at 6'5", 316. Yeah, him that high is kind of wild to hear, honestly. I think he's another one of those guys that he's just going to probably be pushed inside, make that strong offensive line even stronger. Needs to improve his, foot placement to have better leverage. That's one of the only flaws I have for him. He's only played left tackle, right, for Boise State. That's what I have.
Think so.
Yeah, and but like I said, I think he'll just move better off inside. I have him as a later guy, but I think he's going to definitely work his way up. Yeah, here's Brian saying, yeah, definitely a guard. I agree. I think a lot of these guys are going to be you just get richer, and a couple of these NFL offensive linemen are licking their chops, getting a 6'6" guard, 6'5" guard. I mean, it's crazy to see. But then we have other guys coming out like a Chandler Jones, who's a 6'2" center, and we have other guys as well. So I like the difference in size. It's just pretty much how you like it, your sandwich cooked, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. With Casey, for me, I think it just really stood out that he played up to the level of Penn State and Oregon. I mean, he didn't dominate them. He wasn't, standing out on film as no one's getting by him, but no sacks allowed against Big Ten competition while playing for Boise State is a real accomplishment. And I think that's going to go a long way in his process. He's draftable for me, and I'm excited to see what he can do this year with no Ashton Genty. I think that there's going to be a lot of eyes on him, and he'll bring the attention to Boise State this season.
Love it.
So I do want to compliment everybody, like, for the number of names that we've just dropped in under 48 minutes. Like, we're blitzing through the offensive line list. I have a slightly different macro question. For the players that you think that will declare, I believe Jonas Savaiinaea in this draft was the 9th offensive lineman drafted, and it was like 37 to Miami, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you guys think over under 9 offensive linemen in the first 37 picks with what you've seen so far?
You said 9?
Nah,
I'm going to go under.
Savaiinaea was the 9th offensive lineman selected, right?
I'm going under on that. Just
going
maybe
under.
7.
I would.
I'm at 7 on my fingers right now, so I think that 7 is the number I'd be comfortable at, and that's saying that Gooseby and Lomu don't come out this year. So if they do come out, I'd be at 9. But I think that the interior class right now is a little bit weaker, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of there's going to be some good day 2 guys in there, but not top 40, more towards when you get to 70, 80. So I think that the interior class is deep, but I think you got to get there before you start getting those players. So I think right now 7 would be a safe number for me.
Okay.
I kind of like 7. I think there's just going to be an influx and just a big uptick, maybe from picks 33 to maybe 42 around there. Just that you're just going to see guys like, all right, it's time to get our guy that we've kind of been letting slide. But we're going to see, I think GMs do that even more into the 3rd round. Say, all right, we're just going to let these guys slide because of the influx of guys that we're going to see move inside. But 9's, I think, a little high. But I didn't think a lot of things in this draft would have happened, so I wouldn't doubt it.
And I think it's important that we see, who moves inside. That's like the biggest thing. Who's going to be a guard? Because guards aren't going to be as high of a value as tackles. So if a guy like Fano ends up being a guard, and we all think he's a guard, or Maugoa thinks he's going to be a guard, Tiernan, he plays guard. They're going to start sliding a little bit just because they play guard. So it's going to be important as we get closer to April. Everything will start coming out. We'll have a better idea of over under 9.
Okay. So why don't we pause for a quick second, introduce ourselves to everybody watching, and then we'll wrap this up with a big finish after the introductions. So Eric, you want to let everybody know what it is that you do as far as draft content and football content goes?
Yeah, so most of my content is going to be found either on X or on YouTube. My handle on both of those listed on the screen here at OL Coach Smith 63. Also a contributor for 5 Reasons Sports, and also have a podcast that I'm a co-host of called Scouting the Fins, which is on the 5 Reasons YouTube and also the 3 Yards Per Carry podcast feed.
Nice. Hank.
Yeah, so you can find all my draft content as of now on Twitter. I just got done editing the thumbnail for my first YouTube video on the channel I'm going to make. I want to make at least 2 more just to have some backup there. So it'll probably come, towards the end of this month. But all my draft content will be on Twitter. I'll always post all 22 clips to back up what I'm saying or some stuff that I see from flashes of players. But yeah, you can find it all on Twitter.
Dalton.
Oh, yeah. Here with Homestad Sports, Daniel, the other half of the team. Do a lot of recruiting, conference previews coming out soon, player interviews, and check out our Substack, new Substack. What's his name? January, what's his name, man? I don't want to mess it up.
Yeah, we got a senior writer named Mark. He's been killing it on Substack, and he's pretty much going in detail of all of our conference. We're covering all 136 teams. Like Dalton said, we cover a lot of recruiting, Elite 11, things like that, player interviews, and Senior Bowl, like from last year. But yeah, we try to get kids' names out there, and then when in season starts, we pretty much cover everything week to week with our top 6 games, players of the weeks, and then when the draft time heats up, we get to lean on you all who have just been killing it all year with draft content. So it's awesome.
Well, it's great to see this panel get put together. So I want to compliment all of you because right before we went live, I just said, drop as many offensive line names as you can and ask questions to each other. This is exactly how I wanted this podcast to turn out. So, no script. We didn't necessarily have a list of players that we were going through. But if you put smart people in the same room, you just kind of sit back and see what happens. This channel has daily draft content. We're here every day, and we're about to go up to twice a day. So we're about to go 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. every day up to the draft. So I should say every weeknight. So it'll be 7 p.m., 9 p.m. every weeknight. We'll be Saturday morning. We'll have one show Sunday night. We will have unique draft content every day. So like we just did this offensive line podcast. We did a running back podcast, wide receiver podcast, defensive line podcast, just like this. They're on the channel. Go check them out. So that being said, is there any offensive lineman that we haven't talked about that you think somebody should have on their watch list?
I mean, the one that really stands out that's on everyone's watch list, everyone touched on, is Francis Marigoa, is the one big name that we haven't brought up yet, I don't think. For me, I know a lot of people like him, like his tape. I have a round 2 grade on him just because I don't think he's a tackle. And I really do think that he's a guard in the NFL. I think that his feet get really choppy. I'm worried about his lateral agility at times. I think that he takes on a lot of contact. And I think that he gets stacked and shedded more than you want for a tackle. But I think at guard, this is a guy who would be a high-level guard in the NFL. I mean, when I watched Will Campbell, I watched him and I said, you know what, this guy could just have a Hall of Fame career at guard, or you can just let him try until he fails a tackle. And in the first preseason game, he looked pretty damn good at tackle. So maybe this is a guy who's going to prove me wrong and be able to stick at the right side. But for me, Maui Goa right now, day 2 guy at tackle, at guard, he's by far the best guard in the class for me. But it just as pure tackle, day 2, a little bit disappointed with what I saw, but he's still a phenomenal talent.
Yeah, I think I echo a lot of what Hank said there. Sometimes you watch a player and you have problems, when you're writing stuff, putting it into words. So the best way that I could put it for Maligoa is that he has a smoothness to his game that I really like. But like Hank said, like, maybe he's a solid tackle. I think that round 2 would make sense as a tackle, but he has all those skills that would translate very well to guard as well.
Either of you two have anything on Marigoa you want to add on?
Yeah, I would just think he's a better guard. I think his hips mobility needs to get a little better, a little bit of footwork. I think if we got guys like Fanu, if he's really going to be playing guard, that means we just have some guys with crazy footwork around the league, playing at guard, playing at center. And, as time's going on, you're just going to have, crazy footwork no matter how big or small you are. I think he can do it. But, we just have to wait and see. I mean, out of all the guys we mentioned, it sucks to say it, somebody's going to get hurt. I mean, somebody's unfortunately going to be nicked up coming into this draft process later in the year, and we're not going to be as high on them. But that's why, these next 12 to 15 games is going to prove it all for a couple of these guys. I did have some sleepers, if anybody have heard of these guys, just that I've seen on a few radars. I got Wendell Moe at Tennessee, Arizona transfer. I got Corey Robinson in Arkansas, Ethan Anua at Ohio State. He is a Rice transfer. And then Chris Adams, which is a really big project, I think. Old Dominion transfer to Memphis. Just wanted to get your thoughts on any of those guys.
Mo, round 3 guide for me. I saw him lunge too often, just lunging into space without really a plan. That was my biggest thing with him. I think if he just fixes that, he's a great prospect at guard. I think that he just needs to just not lunge into space without a plan. And then with Ethan from going to Ohio State, Onyanwa, or however you say it,
yeah,
the dude's just big. He's just
huge.
big. He's huge. There's such a high ceiling, and there's so much that can be unlocked playing at Ohio State. But I just think that right now, as a prospect, he's just big. And there's a lot of technique. There's a lot of refining that needs to happen to hang at one of the best schools in the Big Ten, if not one of the best schools in the country this season. So it's going to be a big step up for him. But I think it's a step he can make with the right coaching and with his size.
Love it. Yeah, so many prove-it years for these guys.
I was just going to say, we could go around real quick and just say if you guys got any names that you want to bring attention to, good, bad, sleeper, anything, just, Dalton, you have anyone that you want to bring up?
There was one guy from Texas A&M, I guess the other lineman, Chase Basantis.
Yes. Former tackle.
When I was watching the film, watching the other guys, he kept sticking out the way he was just mauling in the run game, man. I think he's one of my favorite guards that I watched, actually. So I was wondering what y'all think about him.
So I know Newt Weston got to him, and he's on my list. I didn't get to him this time, but I know that Newt likes him. I know that now you like him, so it's a guy I'm excited to get to.
He's good, man. I like him. I can't believe I missed him. Yeah, good one by Dalton. Yeah, he headhunts at the 2nd and 3rd level. He loves getting in, trying to nail a DB. Dalton played DB. He would have hated to see a guy like that coming. He started his career at tackle, but he's at guard now. Good tenacity, and he's just a beast, man. Just look at him. He's a people mover. I like him. I like him a lot.
Coach, you got any names that you want to bring up here real quick that you got to that you want to put some light on?
Yeah, so when we were talking about Caden Green out of Missouri earlier, I was kind of hoping we'd get to him. Connor Tollison, the center there. I feel like another year of strength development would hopefully see some improvement there, but I think he's a really good athlete. Again, talking outside zone stuff, I think he's a great fit in that scheme in the NFL. And the last note that I have on him here would be that I could see him competing for the top center spot in 2025. Don't have him there yet, but curious if you guys see him in that light or you see a big hole in his game.
Yeah, for me, the athleticism pops. You can tell, but I think that one of the biggest reasons why he pops, I'm pretty sure he's sub 290. I think he's playing at 285-ish right now. But just as a pure athlete, this kid's special. I think that with a lot of, like you said, strength development, doesn't necessarily have to become, a 310-pound center, but just with some more just pure strength, that could go a long way for him. But I do think there's a lot of development that needs to happen. But I do see a world where he ends up being a top 3, top 2 center in this draft for me.
Well, and if we're talking about undersized centers, we haven't mentioned Parker Brailsford yet.
Yeah, Alabama. Right?
Yeah,
he's a dog too.
Yeah, former Washington guy, which is my team. So I was kind of sad when he left with the coach. But Brailsford 6'2", 290. I have a round 5 grade on him. I feel like that it's just his pre-snap technique really gets me, where he looks between his legs at the quarterback for 5 seconds. And I just feel like it just looks so unorthodox. I think he's too easily movable in short yardage situations. So many times Alabama need to pick up 2-3 yards, and this guy just needs to make a man move, get out the way. He just gets pushed back, and then it shows when you're 290. So I mean, I do like Brailsford. I got a little bit of bias towards him, just being a former player for the University of Washington, but there's a long way to go just with his strength, in my opinion.
Yeah, on my list, I have Brailsford between Tollison and Caden Green, the Missouri guys. I have the same notes as far as lacking the strength at the point of attack. Felt like he was, where Tollison's the super athletic guy. I felt like Brailsford is a bit robotic at the position. I think he shows a really high football intelligence, and I could see a world where he becomes a solid starting center at the next level. But I just don't really see more than that at this point.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of a scheme guy. He needs to be in a zone rushing scheme, quick hitting passing scheme, or he's just going to get overpowered.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. And then some names I want to throw out there real quick. Won't really touch on him. J.C. Davis from Illinois, future guard in the NFL for sure. Brought him to the Sleeper Show. I really like him. He's a 5th-year guy, but he's been durable his whole career. Hopefully that's not me jinxing him for an injury this year. I think he hits hard in space. He's got a great football IQ. I just think that when he gets beat on the outside. So that's really fixable if you just kick him into left guard, right guard, because he's played both sides of tackle. Another guy I got a draftable grade on is Derek Graham from Tulane. I don't know if anyone watched him, but it's just a guy from the Senior Bowl list that I saw. 6th-year player, which immediately is going to turn off a lot of people. But, I mean, this kid is definitely an NFL-level player, 6'4", 314. And he was the only guy who would consistently finish blocks on that Tulane offensive line. And he was also very impressive in the bowl game against Florida. That's what really shocked me, was how good he was able to handle that SEC competition. And then the one guy on the interior that I wanted to touch on really quick, again, is just, I'm going to beg you again, go watch Wes King from Wyoming. I was really blown away. Just football IQ, everything that you want, country strength. There's a lot to like about Wes King.
I'm going to drop one more name. Has anybody watched offensive tackle Corey Robinson II from Arkansas?
Yes.
So he's getting top 50 love from Brian Maffey.
Georgia Tech transfer, right?
I believe so. That is correct. Yes.
Yeah, I do have him. Yeah, I got a 6'5", 307. His hand slips at times, but I do like him. I got him at top, I think 80 around there, but I think that's right now. I think it's gonna go up. One of the guys that I could probably put money on, it's going to go up. Has the aggression that you like to see. But yeah, I like him a lot. But I would like him at guard.
And I think Arkansas is it Carmona?
Yes.
Yeah.
Huge project guy, in my opinion.
Yep. So any other offensive lineman that we want to name drop?
I mean, I'll just name drop DJ Campbell. I won't go too deep from Texas.
This is my last one.
Just another consistent guy that'll get drafted, probably early day 3, day 2 guy. But, I mean, he's just a consistent player in the SEC. There's always a role for guys who can form out in the SEC. And then Caden Proctor just needs to lose weight and get back into form, and I really like him. But those are all the names I got.
Okay. So
Agreed.
I kind of want to wrap this up. So here's what Draft Professor is doing with the offensive line. So we're going to be doing, I think at this point we have like 8 weeks of podcasts until we get to like the week of October 10th. Starting the week of October 10th, there will be a podcast Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. There will be another podcast Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern. Each podcast is going to take 8 offensive linemen, the ones that were mentioned here, plus more that are on the watch list. They're going to break down the draft class, 8 offensive linemen at a time, starting in October. And then 8 podcasts later, each podcast will have broken down 64 offensive linemen. And if you want to know which ones to watch, which ones came out with draftable grades, we'll be able to tell you that in December. So if you are let's say the type of content creator where you need to let the season play out and then you want to know who to watch, every draft professor will have a position assigned. So, like, for example, the Monday positions are I believe it's cornerback at 7 p.m. and it's defensive line at 9 p.m. But each night it's 2 different positions, and you can either, watch them live or listen to them, and you'll start hearing how these guys are grading or what games some of the draft professors are watching to come up with their evaluation. But that being said, we've been going for a while. I definitely want to thank Eric for coming on. I know that we had to get our schedules lined up, but Eric, very appreciative of you taking some time out. And then get used to seeing Daniel, Dalton, and Hank on Mondays. This is their night. And then we have Josh and Jake that will be joining them very shortly on Mondays. So for the 85 Podcasters, a Draft Professor, for Eric, Hank, Dalton, Daniel, myself, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on a podcast again tomorrow night, everybody.